Welcome, heroes of the storms fans. I'm Umster, and today we have the privilege of having a co-caster in Faint to Parry.
Hello, hello.
So we do have a NGS Season 19 Division C matchup between Witch Rhythm and License to Kill. You can see on your map there that Witch Rhythm banned Dragonshire and Towers of Doom, two maps that are very much about very efficient resource allocation. So those have been removed. And License to Kill has gotten rid of Alterac Pass and Garden of Terror, two of the larger maps in our map pool. So game one will be on Braxis Holdout. What do you expect to see on a map like that, Faint?
Well, typically a lot of prio around the top lane and make sure the off lane matchup can either be won or that you can support it through a roam from your team, which makes sense as we see here. Red team's got a Genji that they can roam up to help the Malthael into that Blaze matchup. Blue team might have that be a bit more difficult with Vala and Gul'dan, but they could make it happen. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think the Stukov, Vala, Gul'dan, Johanna really gives a lot of opportunity to control the space in the bottom, but I definitely think it makes it hard to rotate. There's no fast rotators there, so Blaze looks like he's going to kind of be on his own unless the bottom can straight up win a fight. But both teams look like they brought decent camp clear, decent wave clear, and even decent Zerg clear. The Tassadar and the Gul'dan will make it easier to defend. So I think both these
Yep.
teams have tools for success, but I do think the red team, I think License to Kill has given themselves more opportunities to support their offlaner, who honestly in a 1v1, Malthael should be beating Blaze anyway.
hmm Especially at 4 with that extra 50% damage on Q.
Yeah. So that is what these teams have drafted. We'll hop into introducing them and see what these teams can give us. This is game number one between Witch Rhythm and License to Kill. On the left, the blue team, we do have Witch Rhythm. We've got Blitz on Johanna. We've got Vetlungs on Blaze, Real Rad Dad on the Vala, Neddens on Stukov, and Matt407 is playing Gul'dan. On the red side, on the right side of your screen, we have License to Kill. We've got Jakaval on Malthael, Ultimate Hook on Brightwing, Jep playing Tassadar, Bowser King on Muradin, and Jadic playing the Genji. Looking at these level 1 talents here, do you see any surprises, Fate?
I think looking pretty standard from so far. We see Murden with a third win. It's always nice on this map to consistently heal off the sustained damage from the enemy team. Vala's W build makes sense as well, into Genji not wanting to get dove and then not having quite as much saving power from their healer with the Stukov and the cleanse as well. So it makes sense that he wouldn't necessarily want to go auto build. One thing that can be a problem for Blue Team's draft potentially is the fact that both Gul'dan and Vala tend to be very heal-hungry picks that want a lot of support from their healer to continue staying in the fight and doing damage. Stukov isn't always the best at that, but they do both bring a ton of damage and a ton of front-to-back potential, so that could be a real problem for Red Team if they are not able to confirm some burst kills with the Muradin and Genji jumping on a target who's blocked by Tasswell. So we'll see if those things end up manifesting, but
And I think the support matchup does favor the blue side here, Witch Rhythm, a little bit, in the sense that if you've got a Stukov puddle under someone and Brightwing comes to heal them, now Brightwing's in trouble because she's a very... Her heals aren't cast dependent, but a lot of her utility is.
and at 10 there'll be a lot more CC coming in on blue side. Right now they don't really have many tools to actually lock someone down and keep them in. At 4, Joe could take Subdue, so she could DW out of a bush and then get a Q on 2 targets, get a quick 80% slow on them, and then follow up with the Stukov combo.
I think
But
Blitz
that's
prefers
not...
the 4 that gives you the additional time on Iron Skin. I'm drawing a blank on what it's called, but yeah, I hear what you mean. So early on, Red will get both beacons to put them at 10% here. Blaze, again, is good at Vetlungs, is a very good Blaze player, but will have trouble pressuring Malthael for any length of time off of that top point. On the bottom, though, Witch Rhythm is able to come back in and collect it. So with 26% for our red team, they currently hold the lead, but the beacons are in a neutral position.
Yeah, the extra early camp take is interesting. Red team leveraging the advantage that Malthael has on the top side to take some time to do that camp. That will help to offset a bit of the extra wave clear difference. Not that there's much of one. I mean, Tastar and Gul'dan can both shove the waves out, but now that blue team has to contend with this extra camp and bottom, red team might have a bit more time. However, they were just chunked out and Genji just backed. The camp is not necessarily going to amount to much of a difference here, and Gul'dan will eventually clear that wave, so...
Fours do
looks
come
like
out
blue
first,
team told me.
but hardly for our red team here, licensed to kill. But we're really getting a battle here. Yes, Genji was knocked very, very low, but able to return to this fight fairly quickly, but instead goes top to completely push Vetlungs out. He hardly survives, so that will, however, leave a 4 versus 3 in the bottom, so the beacons will remain neutral for the time being. With Stukov going top to soak, though, that means they have to seed this bottom, and once again, the beacons will start ticking up for red team.
Yeah, this might end up being a mistake. We'll see if blue team can come back to a support topside quickly enough, but Genji's already on the way. Genji expects more people to come in, and he's able to fend off Stukov a little bit. Gets the E out before the silence comes in. Pretty nice. Blue team will take it back, though, now. Let's see what's happening bottom side.
Johanna doing what she can, but while she has lots of control, she has very little damage and is eventually pushed away by Bowser King and Ultimate Hook. And both these teams have excellent wave clear in the bottom, so that's not going to be the problem. But it looks like they're trying to force away, and they're going to try and steal this top firebat camp. So this is a siege camp with the armor stripping capability. They steal this camp and will keep the top while seeding the bottom. Blitz's taking a lot of damage on the Johanna. The polymorph will come out, but Johanna manages to stay alive for now, and even with the blinds, they will lose a tower on the bottom side. While in the top, Malthael is being forced to use his shade to try and clear, but they're going to lose this entire gate. Again, with the armor stripping of these fire bats, they do make a very effective siege camp. Johanna was forced to back. Sorry, go ahead.
This is smart from blue team. They were realizing that they were not going to win in the status quo previously, and they decided, screw it, we'll just take the camp and then force down the enemy fort for as much of it as possible.
And it is going to go down to minions here. They can't save it fast enough. Malthael's wave clear, while solid, isn't fast when there's large numbers of minions, and they do manage to take a fort even without Zerg help.
Right. It looks like they will probably lose this first serve since they are doing a camp now. Red team will maintain both beacons, so they've traded an initial fort for the Zerg, but that's not a bad trade considering they do want to scale up to 10 and get some more heavy engaged ults that can really help their fight come online.
Now, on the other hand, they have lost their entire bottom gate, so this 100% Zerg wave to 18 will be crashing directly into an unprotected fort. Now, there is a fighting happening just above us, and Neddens gets caught on the rotate and is killed by Bowser King's Muradin.
Yeah, this is rough, not having the healer into the Zerg wave.
Yeah, you gotta be very, very careful, as those banelings can surprise you with how much burst they can do.
Right. Without a healer here, Gul'dan really has to back off. He cannot afford to get caught, and that's a...
Genji Muradin jump in, the suck almost saves him, but Bowser King will go down in return. It is a 1-for-1, but this is still a very beefy Zerg wave as it crashes directly into the keep gate.
Right. If I'm the Muradin, that's absolutely a worth trade. Taking enemy Gul'dan out means their wave clear is really diminished. They'll probably take the whole gate now. Red team will.
In the top, the Zerg wave has been cleared by Malthael, but this is still a full health bruiser camp, and it's going to be gate for gate as these teams seem to be willing to just push, take what they can get, and say screw it. So
yeah,
one
I
left here.
I like this Blaze level 7. I believe that's the Crossfire Q that reduces spell power or suppressive fire. Yeah.
Reduces spell power.
Spell power hit, which is actually pretty nice into Malthael's Q. You can reduce his damage a fair bit.
It's always nice to see when players know the character well enough to make change-ups to the standard build because they know how, in which way they can win it. So while I still don't think Blaze ever really wins a straight-up duel, that can really give him the opportunity to stay alive if he's caught in a bad position by Malthael.
Right, or if he already happens to be holding a point, he can at least stand on it longer, even if he's eventually lose, potentially.
Malthael's pretty all alone down here, but seems to realize that quickly and will back away, while in the top, the 4-man of our red team is gaining themselves more experience. They're about a third of a level or a quarter of a level closer to 10.
Yeah, both teams are committing to the trade, but I think this is going to be better for blue, for sure.
And once again, both these teams just seem to be interested in base racing today. There's been very little defending and a lot of aggressing, but you're right, the auto attackers in Vala brings a lot more building damage value than the Genji can bring. And Tassadar's wave clear is great. His building damage is mediocre. So this rush is starting to show very much, especially with the siege camp, in the favor of Witch Rhythm right now.
Yeah, this is brutal. Tassadar is really the only one who can properly handle that bot wave at this point, so the fact that he's still up top is...
And their camp is just showing up now.
Right, they will secure that top 4, maybe with all 4 red team members bot, they'll just save their keep.
Keep down to about a quarter of its overall health, and that is not great. We're only just hitting 10s now with all this building damage. They're rotating towards Tass, but Tass looking to find a safe way to get home. So 10s are out. We've got the Blessed Shield for Johanna, the Bunker Drop for Blaze, Rain of Vengeance for Vala, Horrify for Gul'dan, and the Flailing Swipe from Stukov. Meanwhile, we have Last Rites from Malthael, Blink Heal from Brightwing, Black Hole from the Tassadar, not the Avatar. But we do have Avatar, sorry, not Archon. We have Avatar from Erdon and X-Strike from the Genji. Now, Gul'dan has not had much chance to stack Echoed Corruption, only at 22. You already have 22 stacks on the multi-shot from Fire at Will quest. A lot of damage coming out here. There is the end of Genji. The fear is huge. It hits 4. We're going to see Brightwing go down. Malthael goes down. Bowser King taking tons of damage. And the beacons will quickly go over to Witch Rhythm as they dominate team fight. The first 5v5 team fight in this game goes convincingly to the members of Witch Rhythm.
It makes sense. There's a great Horrify and great Blessed as well leading up to it. Red team really cannot approach in a front to back whatsoever, because if they do, it's just Bless into Horrify, and that's GG. What they'd have to do is see if maybe they can split up the map a bit more, split up the blue team, don't allow them to be in a consistent 5v5, maybe pick off someone on the side who's not quite able to be saved due to Stukov's lower saving power, so...
Witch Rhythm takes the boss, but in that time, License to Kill did grab the beacons. They're up to 14% now. But once again, they're going to have to be very careful. As the boss starts pushing towards a top gate that's already taken some damage, it looks like License to Kill wants to come in for another team fight. There is the jump in from Bowser King. They're going to focus on the Vala here. Out comes the puddle from Stuka, but it looks like, no, a perfect phase shift from the Brightwing means that Bowser King stays alive, and instead they'll kill Gul'dan. Now, Johanna goes down. And they take that team fight, and this time they got the perfect targets they wanted. And that phase shift from Brightwing absolutely turned around that fight by keeping the Murden alive.
Yeah, great play there from Red Team. They probably recognized that Blaze was likely to go bottom and try to recap that, and they realized that they didn't quite need to deal with the boss right away. So if they could run and force the 5v4, and then it would work out for them, and that's exactly what happened.
Now it looks like it's a 3v3 here in the top, and it is Vala, Blaze, and the healer. So we will see backing off coming from License to Kill. In the meantime, Gul'dan and Johanna head towards the bottom beacon, but this is about the only map where you keep whatever you get from the objective. So even if they get nothing else, there will be at the very least a 46% wave coming out for License to Kill. As they rotate towards the top, we're starting to see the ring around the rosy we see once the teams gather as 5 on this map.
Right, Johanna already doing the aggressive rotation on the right side, seeing if she can catch someone. Genji will have the responsibility of trying to... Oh, he gets blessed! And then Blazy as well.
The silence comes out.
Horrify coming soon.
That's a great phase shift. The Horrify catches 2 on the right, and Murden is pushed out, which is not great. Jadix, the energy takes a ton of damage, but out comes the last right. On the Batlongs, he almost... a great Stormbolt finishes him there.
Murden gets the Avatar. Does he have his E? He does, but
he jumps back in. He tries to get the Stormbolt, and he does, but it's not enough. There's no one there to follow up. Genji was not able. So it turns into a 2-for-1, which gives the advantage once again to Witch Rhythm. But a very disorganized fight there, as there were players everywhere. And I think Genji was surprised at his lack of ability to escape there. Really only saved by another fantastic phase shift from the Brightwing.
Yeah, Genji was playing with fire a bit, trying to see if he could just, keep them interested, or maybe bait out a few CDs by holding his D there, getting ready to jump over the wall, but he got caught by the Blessed Shield. Great follow-up E from the Blaze. There was a little anti-synergy between the Stukov and the Horrify, and getting those ults, kind of the swipe, causing the Horrify to miss a little bit on the
We're seeing an invade come in here. The puddle means that they haven't captured this yet, but Bowser King will get on point to take it. They do get a fair amount of damage onto Genji, but Brightwing's sustain heal means he'll be back up to full in no time. Now we see that the blue team is split. Vetlungs manages to carefully walk away. They do have the top, and the siege camp is pushing. That will have to be responded to, but in the bottom, a bruiser camp is pushing for license to kill, and they do have to be careful. Both of their keeps are at low health. So maintaining wave priority will now, it needs to be a priority for license to kill. Otherwise, if they get caught in an extended team fight, they are going to lose a building.
Yeah, red team really has to back off here and try to just take top beacon back.
Great Horrify there onto Genji. He's blown away. Ultimate hook on the Brightwing. Tries to come in to save him. Almost gets caught in the puddle, but a great blink heal to Malthael means that for now, the Fruit Fly lives. Both beacons now captured. Gul'dan going back to clear this, and it will be a 46 to 100% wave in the favor of Witch Rhythm.
Yeah, blue team doing a good job there, recognizing that with not only one camp, but actually two, getting that second one, both shoving top. Tassadar already backed and went to deal with the top, the first camp directly shoving in on their keep. That meant that they could just run 5v4 and force the bottom fight. A good CC chain on the Genji caused him to die, and that's that.
That's one of the things Genji really doesn't like fighting into is hard CC that's point and click. That really can make his survivability, which is based on mobility, very low. Gul'dan is sent to the top because a half-size wave is still very destructive. So Gul'dan will handle it, so it will be a 4v5 in the top, bolstered by this Zerg wave. Vetlungs uses the jet propulsion. It's going to just come up short. Are they going to try and poke at this core? Are they going to back away? It looks like they're going to let the rest of their Zerg wave die here at the core. It's not going to do much more than take out some of the shields, so there will be no permanent core damage against License to Kill, as Gul'dan will meet up with the rest of his team in the center of the map.
Yeah, not much of an actual change in structure advantages, just taking that keep, which was already quite low. However, blue team now has priority on the map and can kind of do whatever they want. So they've decided to take boss.
16s are coming in right away for License to Kill on the red side. This boss is not dead yet. Blitz is going to try and lock down the Murd, and that's who's going to want to stand on the point. A good follow-up jet propulsion there, and there comes a silence pool. Genji goes down, Malthael goes down. The black hole will disengage for the moment, but the Horrify into the Dwarf toss. That's interesting. It looked like he was feared before the Dwarf toss went off, and yet it's still kind of connected, but Bowser King will get away.
I guess if your E is already active, it doesn't necessarily change your direction.
Yeah, I wonder if it was buffered and it kind of went right at the same moment.
I think so. That's interesting. But yeah, great play from blue team. Joe doing a good job of recognizing that she just needed to keep the enemy team out, so she blesses early. That set up the Blaze stun as well into the choke and with the Stukov puddle. Just the classic situation of whichever team steps into the choke and does not immediately get what they want is going to pay for it. And so.
Yeah, and Witch Rhythm does a great job layering their CCs very effectively to get like 4, 5, 6 seconds of hard crowd control on multiple people. There is a great sword from Bowser King, and Genji does leap in. We do see the bunker comes out. Johanna will jump into it. A lot of damage come out, but they also have to focus on this boss, but the healer gets very low.
Great move there from red team. Great decisiveness and commitment to actually force in there. And even though they didn't get the kill, they were able to get blue team low enough that they were able to clear the boss and avoid losing the game outright.
Absolutely, fantastically. Now this will get stolen. The top siege camp will be stolen, but they are carefully checking, and that's very intelligent from the members of License to Kill. Out comes a Blessed Shield, though they want this engage. Jadik is on the back of the Genji, but out comes the Fear, and it's going to split this team entirely apart. Genji comes out. The Unstoppable is there for Malthael. They're putting damage on this one. The Black Hole comes out, but hits nobody. The last Rights will come out, but cannot kill the Johanna. They're taking a lot of damage. Out comes a huge 3-man jet propulsion means that 3 members of License to Kill die. Jep and Ultimate Hook are backing off, but just playing at the very limits of their characters means Johanna does not die. They get a huge advantage. It's going to be a 5-man team wipe, and Witch Rhythm is going to end this game.
Great work from blue team there. Good fight from both teams, honestly. It was a little rough initially, seeing a lot of both teams whiffing a lot of CCs or not having clean CC chains, but initially when I saw the Bless go out after Blaze, E and Stukov Silence had both whiffed, it looked like red team might be able to capitalize and then turn on them there, but those CDs came back up at a perfect time. Blaze got a fat E stun into the Stukov puddle, and it worked out well.
Yeah,
So good front to back
that
play from blue team there, and good attempts to recover and good initiations from red team. Just didn't quite work out in a straight 5v5.
Yeah, that jet propulsion absolutely both saved Johanna's life and led to a fast kill of 3 as the puddle went down underneath of it. So Neden's responses on Stukov to the multiple person CC, because it does take a second for the lurking arm to get moving. His reaction time was fantastic this game. Every time Blaze caught 2 or 3 people, there was a puddle underneath of them, and it just burnt them away with. I'm pretty sure he took low blow at one. He did. So it just helped. Like the Vala would get the multi shot off, then the low blows are ticking them down when they were low, and the cooldown damage on top of it just meant that the red team melted.
Yeah, a
So,
ton of AoE damage. Choke points absolutely brutal going into this blue team.
so that does mean that game number 1 will go over to Witch Rhythm. Some very strong team fights, but again, it looked like these team fights were extremely close. Just a matter of parts of seconds on cooldowns back and forth. So this promises that, hopefully game 2 will be equally as interesting, and maybe they can even take us to 3 games. But game number 1 will go to Witch Rhythm, which means they have a 1-0 lead in this series, and we'll have a quick look to see where we're going for game number 2. And it will be the other 2-lane map. We're going to Battlefield of Eternity. What does that summon in your mind, Faint?
Oh, I was about to say Hanzo, and yes, we do see a Hanzo on the red team. Great racer, gray main as well, not a surprise. It looks like we've got a Stitches comp here as well from blue team with a Falstad Gust to support that. So if they get a hook into Gorge, and I am expecting Gorge based on this draft, they can gust away the rest of red team and keep them from counter engaging. However, the Anubarak cocoon can cleanse the Gorge target essentially by cocooning the Stitches and forcing the Stitches to drop the Gorge target. So we'll see if that can work out before the Gust comes through and before red team is unable to engage or to counter engage. The Hanzo ult, the stun arrow, can also be a very potent counter engage if they do run into choke points or just a straight up initial engage.
Well, and another interesting thing is going to be vision control in this one. Like, Stitch's hooks from blind can absolutely devastate many members of this team, but the Hanzo Li Ming combo can do damage from out of vision as well. Falstad can go down in a single stacked simple geometry scatter arrow. He's just not a high health character. Brightwing can get chunked really easily, and Greymane has a hard time getting in against these long range heroes unless the target is brought to him, which Stitches can do. So this is really big time going to be a skill matchup between who can use their long range more effectively and who can dodge their opponent's long range effectively.
Yes, good percent health shred too on red team. It's pretty scary going into a Thrall and a Hanzo, assuming he takes the percent health 16. If I'm the Stitches or the Leo, that's not going to be enjoyable. They'll definitely want to play at range and see what they can do to get initial picks off of hooks or off of entombs and so forth.
Now, if this game gets to 20, and this is the 2-lane maps can be a bit more snowbally, so we don't always see them get to 20, but Vetlung's Leoric is very good, and I honestly am starting to believe that the Buried Alive Entomb is one of the most impactful level 20 ultimates in the game. It controls space, it controls ability usage, and he always manages to target at least 2 characters with it, letting his team follow up immediately. Now, they don't have the Stukov to create the level 10 pseudo Buried Alive, but even so, Greymane and Falstad are great at hitting enemies who are trapped in a small area, and if this game hits 20, watch out for the Buried Alive catching, say, Thrall and Rhaegar in there. There's no way for those orcs to get out. So, we will jump into game number 2 between Witch Rhythm and License to Kill. In the blue side, representing the high heavens and fighting on the side of Hilarion, the angelic immortal, we do have Witch Rhythm. Blitz is on Stitches, Vetlung's on Leoric, Real Rad Dad playing the Greymane, Matt 407 on Falstad, and a Neddens on Brightwing. Whereas in the red, representing the Burning Hells and helping the Demon Lieutenant Beleth, we have License to Kill. Ultimate Hook plays Rhaegar, Jadik on the Lei Ming, Jep on Hanzo, Jakuval on Thrall, and Bowser King bringing the Beetle King, Anubarak. Anything in level 1s that catches your attention there, Fate?
Yeah, I'd say blue team definitely is going to have a difficult time actually converting hooks into kills early on here, mainly because they don't have follow-up CC that really locks down the target. They do have a Brightwing Polymorph in this 4-man, so you could get the hook into the Polymorph and deny the Hanzo from using his trait to hop over wall, or denying Ming from using her E. But their target's probably not going to die in that short time, and Falstad, yes, he's auto-build, so he'll need 7 to really do a lot of good shredding power, so don't expect the blue team will get a lot of kills early on here. I expect red team will want to get their Hanzo stacks farmed up, and honestly may not have a ton of killing power themselves unless blue team overstays, so this might be a bit of a stalemate. What'll be interesting to see is if Falstad maybe decides to fly up top and force top camp in their favor.
Yeah, and this is a very even, if Leo hits Drain Hope, but this is a very even matchup in the top. If Leo misses Drain Hope, he really has to back away. Both these offlaners really depend on hitting their Ws to win trades. And in terms of, excuse me, talents here, we do see that he goes for Viciousness. So this is kind of the hybrid build for the Greymane. He didn't go into the Worgen, the recently buffed Worgen level 1. So because Falstad flew, they will have to give this camp away, and it does go over to License to Kill. But both teams are on fairly equivalent experience, as Thrall is forced back, but does manage to stay alive with this Falstad gank. But that will give the top Khazra camp over to Witch Rhythm.
Yeah, this makes sense. Both teams recognizing which team is stronger in the 4-man and top side respectively. Sends the Falstad up using the global, and they got the Brightwing to support as well too, if anything were to happen, if our team were to send more up there, but that's not going to happen at this point, so we'll just see both camps get traded. Let's see if Falstad stays top, which would be interesting. I don't think Greymane is the best goalie for bottom side, so they could end up getting pushed in, which would be quite brutal for them. I guess Stitches can hook the Khazra camps into the gate, but looks like both DPS and blue team are just going to start their camp right away. It is 2:20 in the timer, so it's a pretty good time to do that. Looks like blue will take theirs first. I'll be interested to see if they hold it. If Falstad can actually hold blue camp here. Looks like they're not going to.
They capture their camp, and Rhaegar starts the camp on the red side, but Jadik is here to help him, and it should go down before we start our initial Immortal phase. It does look... Bowser King looking to stop them, but he does get polymorph. There's the follow-up hook, and he's killed. First blood going over to Matt407 on that Falstad.
Yeah, rough moment there playing tank, and you don't have any DPS to play goalie and actually clear the waves. So you feel like you gotta do something, but even with the little amount of CC that blue team has, Eing in will combine with the poly after, and the hook following it is pretty brutal. So.
He attempted hook there to pull someone into his team by blitz while the tank is dead, but he instead connects with part of the wall, and so instead his team will head right to race. Auto attack Falstad and Greymane combined should make this race go very fast. Hanzo's gonna need some stacks, but Thrall can help there. Bits gets jumped on here though. Here comes the phase ship, and we
after. No other CC to follow from red, so blue will make it out.
Now Bowser King just coming back in time, but they're not able to. They're looking for the race, but with only 7 stacks on simple geometry, this race is unlikely. It's just too inconsistent in terms of damage for them, so they're just going to try and take some of the shield off of their opponent. But it will be Alarion turning the demon into a pancake and slurping his life out. And he's going to have about a 40% health shield as he begins his siege toward hell in the top lane.
Yeah, this is interesting. This entire Immortal phase could potentially be attributed to the fact that blue team started their camp sooner. And although I was initially hesitant about capping it right away, their early aggression and just pushing that bottom fort, and a little bit a minor mistake from Anub there, when I guess resulted in them having initial race prio as well. So they were able to essentially force this first Immortal all the way stemming back from that initial camp timing.
Yeah, I didn't see who they sent top. I saw that the red had been pushing, but it did almost no damage to the gate, so somebody must have been sent top to deal with that from our blue team as well. Now, Ilarion is down to about 30% health. The keep is at about half. We see the lightning rod coming out onto this fort, so it will get down to about 10%, but we will see backing away from Witch Rhythm in the bottom. Jack of All has to be careful, as he has no gate to protect him, and his fort is fairly far back from this gate. So we will see Leoric. Did he take Neil Peasants? He did. So that gives him the opportunity to beat this camp down fairly quickly, but it seems Jakoval will sniff this out, and they may have a duel over this. No, Vetlungs will immediately... No, they are considering it. In the top, we do have a look like a...
Falstad's already getting ready to fly down, looks like. I think he's about to do it, yep. So Falstad will support and force the thrall away.
There's the lightning rod. He does get a very good alpha spirit brute, but it's not enough, and they kill. But that means that there's only 3 tops, so License to Kill will immediately jump on that Kaiser camp to make it even. This is a weird angle, especially without their DPS.
Yep, Review 4 trying to face check that is going to be rough. They did want to be aggressive and potentially try to maybe finish off that top fort, or let the wave crash in to finish the top fort. That might explain why Blue Team was going a little aggro with Review 4
That
there.
hook, not particularly valuable, and instead it forces the team to get engaged on. And I'm not sure why Witch Rhythm is so horny to fight when they're down a member. Although they do get the healer back, so apparently they go into these because they think they win. Oh, Blitz attempts to save, but Real Red Dad gets out. They don't land the damage, and he gets out with 70 hit points.
Yeah, he can wait for his Brightwing to come back and port to him with the tap too, so he'll be able to be up and they'll be able to start OBJ right away. They'll also hit 10 sooner, which will make the Gorge a nasty threat.
And
So
Thrall can't
Red
rotate to
probably-
help because he's still dealing with this. This fort is now also down, very low, about 40%, while this top one is... It looks like they're going to try and kill this before they move to the Immortal.
I like this. I think it's definitely doable. They'll have ults now as well, so Red Team will also be scared to contest there. They'll get a little race in the start.
Dude, there is the burrow charge from Bowser King to keep himself alive here, but the 10s are out. It's Putrid Bile, so no Gorge this time around.
Thing.
And it is not Sacred Bullet, or it's not Cursed Bullet, which makes sense because these health bars are so low, but a new bracket gets blown away. Jacobo looking for an opportunity to do something. Putrid Bile will lock him in place, and he does go down. The hook comes out to try and get a 3rd kill, but still half a level away from their heroics. Means a 2 for 0 is about the best the red team could hope for, as we do see we've got Putrid Bile, Entomb, Go for the Throat, Mighty Gust, and Blink Heal. Anything there outside of the Bile that surprises you, Fane?
Yeah, the Bile is surprising. Otherwise, I mean, the Go for the Throat makes sense considering that they do have both Hanzo and Ming are very squishy and likely to get popped.
And a new rack takes a lot of damage from the autos on Greymane, so there's not really a need for the Cursed Bullet there.
Right, and since they're not going Gorge, they're not necessarily trying to play quite as far back and at range.
But now because they've used some ultimates, then now their heroic advantage is on the side of the red team, where they have Ancestral, Wave of Force, Dragon's Arrow, Earthquake, and Cocoon. This is a huge team fight comp. They're going to jump onto Real Red Dad. There's the Dragon's Arrow and the Entomb. They kill. Vetlungs is caught here as well. There's the heal from the Brightwing, but she might get caught. They're going to put damage onto Vetlungs down to 400 health. The Mighty Gust is used to disengage. They hook the Hanzo in. There's the Polymorph trying to get damage, and the Ancestral is not fast enough. That is the end of the Elder Shibata brother.
Great turn hook there. That initial aggression, though, from Red Team, as you can see, into the choke point, it's pretty difficult for Blue to actually step up and play down front back. We see the Bile coming out, but I don't think it's going to result in much other than securing the Immortal, which is a worthy use. We'll see how...
That one caught in an kind of unlucky position as the Immortal was going for spin, but they once again defeat the Demon, and the Angel will smash his opponent with just under half health.
Entomb is almost up now. We'll see if they go for any more. It doesn't look like it though. Leo looks like he's going to want to go soak top. And we'll see Blue Team probably go and finish off that bot for it.
Bile and Gust moves this team fight from a... They just really want to control how the fights work. Like, the other team has an Earthquake, but they can Gust and Bile to put team fights in their positioning and in their favor. So not looking for the Gorge that gets the enemy team to jump on them, but wanting the Bile and the Gust to position themselves in ways where they can be more successful. It's kind of a very interesting combo that I probably wouldn't have thought of before I saw the picket and how they've been playing it.
Bile is actually really interesting too into the Earthquake draw because Stitches with his trait won't be slowable at all, so he can still run at them with 20% move speed off the Bile, and I think it's 20%. And that will, oh, there's a hook, Poly.
Yeah, 20% for 8 seconds.
Yeah, so Stitches can still basically run wherever he wants as long as he's not getting hard CC'd, and those hard CCs are either going to be Cocoon, which would be a worthy use. Anub is interesting as a pick because Cocoon kind of counters both Stitches ults, since you'll deny that entire, or maybe not the entire, but, you know, a good chunk of the Bile duration.
Well, yeah, the EQ lasts for 4 seconds for 3. So 12 seconds on Earthquake and 8 seconds for Putrid Bile. So yeah, 2/3 of that Earthquake will just be ignored by the Putrid Bile and the Shambling Horror trait as both teams take their boozer camps.
Right, so Cocoon on Stitches will probably still make sense a good chunk of the time, especially because Red Team does kind of want to dive past him anyway, get an arrow on the back line, stun arrow into a noob combo and the Thrall, preventing them from escaping with his slow too. So actually, the Earthquake Thrall sets up into the stun arrow quite well, especially with these chokes.
Yeah, if you can stun arrow 3 and Cocoon 1, that's an opportunity to win a fight, as that stun does last for half a second, but it can travel more and increase its duration up to 1.25 or even 2 full seconds. Blitz is kind of by himself here. Even if he were to hook someone, he would be in big danger here. But there's a full level lead now for Witch Rhythm as they have hit 13s. The 13s are just coming in now for License to Kill.
Ooh, Glass Cannon Ming. Going for that
Oh,
burst.
but there's the hook on a Jadic, the polymorph, and that kill!
Great poly, good timing, denies the E from Ming there.
And the Putrid Bile gives them the opportunity to walk this camp in and try to take another gate, which would let, now with both gates gone in top and bottom, when the Immortal comes in, that almost guarantees them a keep, especially if they hit 16s during this next Immortal phase. There's another good hook onto the Thrall, and the polymorph will kill him too! My goodness, the Entomb will come out. Bowser King gets caught. Now it is Cocoon, and it is the Dragon Arrow, which means Bowser King lives. That's 2 ultimates just to try to not die.
Yeah, I'd mentioned that early game, only having Hook and Poly is not great for 4-man, but that was early game. This is now different, as we see here with Mana Burst on a
They're going to try for this keep, and in worst case scenario, Falstad does still have the Mighty Gust cooldown. So they will get this keep down to about 40%, and now they're going to rotate as Thrall is just coming back to life now. And the kills are 8-2 in favor of our blue team. And they have almost a full 2-level lead now after killing Thrall and chunking down that. Now, they're looking to defend while they're on even talent here. They're doing some race here, but I think they're going to wait for the halftime show and try to get an advantage then.
Let's see, we've got Tomb up, we've got...
Out comes the Earthquake. They're going to jump. Vetlong's taking a lot of damage on that Leoric. The heal is coming up, but Jack of all Thrall gets blown away. Out comes the Putrid Bile once again. The Entomb comes out, but that is both offlaners dead as Leoric also goes in. Rhaegar taking a ton down to 95 hit points. Barely managed to get out. And the health bars are looking low on the side of the blue team as well. Nevin's gonna jump. Wow, the Dragon's Arrow! That burst was huge, but they're going to try and get Ultimate Hook in return. They do, but Greymane killed. It is a chaotic 3 for 2 that finally...
Ming is blocking things up. That Glass Cannon might have made the difference there.
Absolutely fantastic. The hook, though, it does go into Jadic. No polymorph now, but we do see that Leo is back now. He's going to try and go in on Jadic. They can't hit.
He'll get out. Yeah, that was a nice recognition there from Manoob that he could still E in and his team would have enough damage there. The Ming also weaving in that full burst combo on that separate target there, and the Hanzo with the follow-up ult stun to confirm it too.
I have to admit, I love the D2 Sorceress skin on Li Ming.
Anub might be in danger here. Anub is a little in danger.
The polymorph is onto Hanzo, and the Drain Hope is there also, but the root will keep Vetlongs from following it up. The hook comes out, it's going to just miss, and 16s are now here for Witch Rhythm. So this needs to be a careful engage. But Blitz takes a lot of damage. Out comes the Putrid Bile. Bowser King takes a ton of damage. It gets gusted into the team and blown away. Ultimate Hook, and they do get the Immortal, but they're losing 3. They're going to try to chase down Jack of all, and Jadic has 0 mana. If they get in here, they can't quite. It just misses. And so they're going to go for the keep. 3 are dead for 22 more seconds. They're going to go for this
Yeah,
keep. Are they
both
going to
try
try and go
end.
for the end? Jadic has nothing left. Nothing left.
Yeah, he can't back there either. He get okay.
Earthquake will come out. They're jumping onto Vetlung's Leoric here. Blitz is just trying to defend as they put everything they have on the court. 5 more seconds for the Anubrak here.
I don't think they're gonna make it. They would have had to blow up Greymane and force him off.
And that is game number 2 to Witch Rhythm. Some fantastic engages, some fantastic fights, and it gives them the 2-0 domination of this series. What did you think of this game and of this series, Faint?
Yeah, some fun fights. Some interesting choices there. A lot of good combos from both teams in those hectic mid fights. Kind of a lot of handshake fights in the sense that they both just kind of ran at each other and threw out ults. But that worked out well, and it was interesting to see the gust into the bile in that last fight there. I like that, and some good decisive engage moments. I do think that the fight immediately before that last fight, they could have waited. The red team could have waited a little bit longer to get Hanzo's ult up at the start, but it ended up working out just fine when they got that kill with the Ming and a noob jumping and hitting the right wing there. So worked out. The red team could have backed off a bit more though on that last fight there, and you got a little low, a little able to get punished, and that led to a bit of a cleanup.
I do have to say that that Bile and Gust battlefield control tech, like it kind of nullified the Earthquake. And I'm a big believer in Earthquake doing a lot of work, and especially if you hit 20 with the Earthen Shields, it can really prevent less bursty teams from taking you out. But a Bile plus Gust meant the fights were almost always on their terms in the positioning they wanted. And in fact, we saw that one fight where they didn't quite have the ability to position things how they wanted. They lost they went down 3-2. Like, they actually lost that fight because they didn't have the control. But they really used that combination of map control, of macro control, and then that Bile Gust tech. I think that's really clever, and I think if more teams scout that, we might see it a little more often, because it worked really, really well when controlled this cleanly.
Yeah, can you check talents one more time?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of this looks fairly standard here. I do like the Leo going the 13-16 reduce damage.
The Wraithwalk build.
Yeah, kind of nullify the Ming and the Hanzo a little bit if he can jump on them and get them with that, which is not always easy.
I have seen maps where Greymane into long range shares. I think Hanzo Chromie I've seen him into, so similar to Hanzo Li Ming, and getting in was just the worst. Like, trying to get past something like an Anubrak or a Thrall to get to these, or even the Colossal Totem, trying to get back to these long range characters, he would just die every time he tried to go in. But again, the battlefield control meant that I never really saw Greymane struggle in this game. He was either dealing with what he could deal with and not worrying about Li Ming and Hanzo, he never had to, or they were closer than they wanted to be and he could just leap on them and go for the throat. So just excellent play from both teams, a really clean execution from the members of Witch Rhythm, which gave them the 2-0 today, or a couple days ago.
Fun series. Good games all in all.
It would. Well, thank you very much to both these teams. Thanks to Faint for joining me. It's always a blast having your analysis, man. You got a super great hot brain, so always appreciate having you here with me.
Yeah, likewise, my friend. GG's.
GG's. So we have one more cast coming up at 4:30 Eastern. The VOD will be on Twitch for 7 days, or otherwise on my YouTube, Omster. Hope you all had a great time, and we'll see you in about an hour and a half. So go out there and enjoy yourself some Heroes of the Storm.